What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for June 21st, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery, coming at you a little bit earlier than what I normally do, so I do not have the results of the question of the day from yesterday yet. However, as of 4:45 p.m. on Thursday, ironically, the Flyers offseason was what you were the most looking forward to. Obviously, that can change. But as always, thank you for participating in the question of the day. I will have the results of yesterday and today's question of the day on Saturday, which leads to the next housekeeping note. I will be away, so I will have a different background. Still will have, the podcast will still come out relatively the same time as it would on a weekend. I think our earliest tea time probably will be 9 a.m., so you'll still get the same content, just with a different backdrop. There might be a few random golfers popping in to say hello, and just like, if you remember from last year, had the guy just sitting there staring at me in the corner, but all in good fun. So stay tuned for that this weekend. The Selection Friday show is up. The brackets are out. Give it a listen and then take the weekend to rip me on my picks. Tournament gets underway Monday, June 24th. Looking forward to it. 2 matchups a day. You guys vote. 64 Philly sports nicknames. You determine the ultimate Philly sports nickname. And that all gets underway on June 21st. The Selection Friday show is available on the YouTube channel as well as wherever you get your podcasts. Like I've been saying, the best way to stay in the loop is to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont, or follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok, at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn. But like I said, the best way is just subscribe, so that way it gets delivered right to your inbox. But all through the weekend, like I said, rip me. Let me know what you agree with. Let me know what you disagree with. Did anybody get left out that should have been in? Who's rated too high? All of that good stuff, just like you normally would with the NCAA tournament. And the last housekeeping note is, due to the fact we're doing 2 matchups a day, there won't be a question of the day throughout the tournament. Essentially, the question of the day will be, who do you pick in the 2 matchups for that day? Still have not figured out the schedule necessarily yet on the brackets and who and seeds and everything like that, like who's going to play. But I'll try to mix it up as best I can. So stay tuned for that. I'm looking forward to the nickname tournament. But Selection Friday, the show is up. Go check it out. All right, the Phillies are in action tonight against the D-backs. Tawan Walker takes the mound, hopefully looking to build on his past 2 starts and keep that train rolling, get the Phillies back on the winning side. A couple last things about the other day with Ranger. I read today in the paper, or yesterday in the paper, I should say, the story about his wife and kids finally being able to come up from Venezuela. I had Fernando Valenzuela on my mind, but from Venezuela. It's pretty cool. They had some visa issues, but it was the first time that not only did they get to see him pitch live, but he was able to actually spend Father's Day with his kids for the first time ever. So I thought that was a really cool story. It's a shame that could not translate into a win, but he did pitch pretty well. And the fact that he got to spend Father's Day with his kids is really, really cool. Tonight is also Cole Hamels' retirement night. They're going to do a nice little ceremony. They have patches. I don't know how the patches are going to look on the City Connect jerseys. But then David Dahl did change his number, and I don't know if it's a permanent thing or just for this year since they are officially doing the ceremony for Cole Hamels. I don't think that they're going to pull a surprise retirement of his number per se. But who knows? I mean, they've done the thing now where Dick Allen is in, but I think we would know more about it if they were going to retire his number. But a cool move from David Dahl to change his number that way. But I will say the Phillies do a great job with their alumni weekend and when they honor the players from the past. So it should be a good ceremony. The game is on Apple Plus, but Comcast Sportsnet, or NBC Sports Philly, I should say. I will never not call it Comcast, just like it's still the FU Center that the Sixers and Flyers play in. But it should be a good job because they always seem to do well by their alumni, even if Juan Samuel is in the Wall of Fame. But it is getting closer and closer to 4th of July. I've been telling you about the Philly Goat London series stuff, and you have to get for the 4th of July the British Blue, a 13 colony lead. It's the ultimate 4th of July shirt. I've seen a lot of interesting and fun ones out there, but nothing is better than the British Blue, a 13 colony lead on 4th of July. So go to phillygoat.com, check it out. Be sure to use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off, and get that Britain Blue, a 13 colony lead shirt. Not a lot of Eagles news. However, they do have the highest beer prices in the league, and as somebody who has season tickets, yes, they do. And it is ridiculous. I mean, you can go to the beer distributor and get a 36-pack of Miller Lite for like under $30. And to basically get, I think the beers are, some of them are 24 ounces. So to get 48 ounces of beer, you're spending almost $30. So it's just ridiculous. And unfortunately for the people that go to the games, we bitch about it all the time. Yet here I am, take my credit card, and I'll spend $80 on 3 beers and not think anything of it, but then I'll bitch that the beer prices are too much. And I mean, truthfully, with everything, because people pay it, that's why they do it. I talked about the Philly Dunks the other day, and I look every day, and I can't find a pair for under $250. And that's for like size 4.5. To get them in a size 12, you're talking $400 or $500. People are selling them resale, and unfortunately, people are going to buy it. I just can't justify it, which sounds kind of funny coming from the guy that will justify spending $15 to $20 on a beer. But hey, but I thought that was an interesting thing, and I think their ticket prices are near the top as well. And again, as somebody who is a season ticket holder, trust me, they're expensive. Lots of Sixers rumors. The question of the day was yesterday was looking forward to what your favorite thing for this summer is. It's going to be a very interesting offseason for both the Sixers and the Flyers, but lots of new rumors. Well, maybe not new, but newer. Apparently, Alan Hahn of ESPN is reporting that the Jimmy Butler experience is done in Miami, that they are looking to trade him. So that reignited all the Jimmy Butler to Philly rumors. And I don't know. It would be cool to have the reunion. I think somebody said this, and it was the perfect summation of it. The reunion of the band that should have never broken up. But again, Butler is actually older than Paul George. So I don't know if I want him. But again, we'll see what happens. He's starting to get injury prone. I don't know. And then the Athletic. This one was an intriguing one because this guy's been on my radar, and the New Orleans Pelicans actually contacted the Sixers regarding trading Brandon Ingram. Looks like they're trying to move him. I don't know if it's going to come to fruition. I really don't know, other than maybe draft picks, what the Sixers have to offer. But you have my attention when you start saying Brandon Ingram. And I saw a couple different reports, too, that says it looks like Sixers are likely going to sign Nick Batum, Kelly Oubre, and Kyle Lowry, which I like all three of them, especially Batum and Lowry for their veteran leadership. And whatever Batum did with Joe in the playoffs last year certainly worked. So having him for a full season is going to be key. And Joe was really big on what he meant to him. So I've been saying it, but I think you do whatever Joe wants at this point, because what you've been doing has not been working. So get the guys he's comfortable with. But all I can say is buckle up. It's going to be an interesting couple weeks here. The draft is Wednesday, and then free agency starts. Or I'm sorry, the draft. Now I got my dates mixed up. But everything's next week. So I think the first night of the draft is Wednesday, the first round. Second round kind of is one of those things. So whatever the date Wednesday is, the 26th, I think. So that's the first night of the draft. And then free agency starts on June 30th, a couple days later. So buckle up. It's going to be fun. And same way with the Flyers, buckle up. Their draft is the 28th, and then free agency starts July 1st. There's a ton of rumors coming out about the Flyers now, too. There's a trade possibly in the works with the Ottawa Senators. No names really have been released, but all indications seem to think the Flyers are looking to get the 7th pick and possibly get their hand. And I don't know if they have a specific player, but it might involve one of their picks in the 20s. So we'll see what happens. But the rumors are going to be heating up. We talked about the trade that Cam Atkinson declined because of his modified no trade clause with the San Jose Sharks. Danny Briere says he spoke today and said, or yesterday, I should say, I'm recording it today, but he spoke and said, don't expect big splashes because they have so much dead cap space. And that means he also mentioned Mishkov and said they're going into this year and the offseason now expecting that he's not going to be here. However, if they say he's coming September 1st, they're going to jump at the opportunity. So they're expecting him not to be here, but they will welcome him with open arms. It's just frustrating, that whole dead cap space and dealing with free agency. But I'd rather them get that cleaned up now, give Mishkov time to get over, and all of that before you start throwing more money at dead money. So we'll see. But like I said, the next 2 weeks are going to be an interesting ride for both the Flyers and the Sixers, and both teams should look dramatically different by July 4th. The Sixers, though, they keep sucking me in every time. They do it every time. Anyway, today we're going to go back to 1964, and on this day in 1964, Phillies beat the Mets 6-0 up in Shea Stadium. Jim Bunning pitched the first perfect game ever in Phillies history. And to date, it's still the only Father's Day perfect game. And that was like a big deal for that 1964 team. People still talk about Jim Bunning's Father's Day perfect game. There's only been ever one, believe it or not, which is surprising to me, only ever one other no-hitter on Father's Day, and that was by Don Wilson of the Astros in 1967. So usually Father's Day, I guess there's more offense than pitching. But back to Bunning's perfect game. Johnny Callison hit a home run during that game. He was the MVP in 1964 of the All-Star Game, was the runner-up to Ken Boyer of the Cardinals for the National League MVP. Dick Allen went 1 for 3 with an RBI. He was the Rookie of the Year of that 64 team. And ironically enough, Jim Bunning had 7 kids, and none of them were in attendance that day up in Shea Stadium, but they were able to watch it on TV. What's usually not mentioned about Bunning's perfect game, though, which I never realized until I did the research the other day for this, is that it was game 1 of a doubleheader. So the Phillies played the Mets in, I guess, the later that afternoon and won that game 8-2. So the Phillies swept the Mets that day of Jim Bunning's perfect game. Bunning pitched the perfect game in game 1. And in game 3, the Mets only had 3 hits. So the Mets had 3 hits in 2 games that day. Not a good Father's Day for the Mets. Callison hit another homer in the second, ended up with 31 that year. But we all know how the 64 team, how it all ended when Chico Ruiz stole home, setting off a very Eagles 2023-like collapse down the stretch where they blew a 6.5 game lead with 12 games to play. Essentially the same as the Eagles going 10-1 and then finishing 11-6, but 11-7 if you count the playoff game. But on this day, back in 1964, Jim Bunning pitched his legendary, at this point, perfect game on Father's Day in Shea Stadium in game 1 of a doubleheader, which, again, I didn't know it was a doubleheader. All those years, everybody talks about the perfect game, but Phillies did win game 2, 8-2 that day as well. So good day for the Phillies against the Mets. Jim Bunning with the first ever perfect game on Father's Day. And the Phillies, to date, in all their years as a franchise, have only had 2 perfect games, and that one was Jim Bunning's on Father's Day, and the other was by Roy Halladay against the Marlins. All right, finally today, sticking with the Phils, we're going to take a trip down Phillies Memory Lane and take a look at pitcher Pedro Martinez, who was signed by the Phillies in July of 2009. Worked his way up through their minor league system, replaced Jamie Moyer in the rotation in August. won his first game as a Phillies starter thanks to Eric Bruntlit's unassisted triple play, again against the Mets. He also later that season won his 100th game in the National League in September, becoming one of the few pitchers. I should have looked this up to give you the exact stats, but one of the few pitchers to actually win 100 games in both leagues. I want to say off the top of my head, Nolan Ryan might be one. Steve Carlton was all National League. I'll look that up and get some guys for you for tomorrow's podcast. But like I said, I'm trying to get this done today before I start packing and everything. But back to Pedro. Not bad for the Phillies that season. Went 5-1 with a 3.63 ERA and 37 strikeouts in his 7 starts during the regular season. Didn't pitch in the NLDS, but went 7 innings in Game 2 of the NLCS against the Dodgers. Left that game with a 1-0 lead, and the bullpen couldn't hold the lead, so they ended up losing that game. He pitched Game 2 of the World Series. Another solid effort by him, 6 innings, but left down 2-1. They didn't give him any offensive support in the playoffs. He struggled in Game 6, but was pulled after 4 innings. It was an elimination game for the Phils. 4 innings, gave up 3 runs, but again, the offense just struggled to score some runs in that game. Chad Durbin allowed the Yankees to really blow it open, giving up 3 runs in the 5th. Good addition by the Phillies, though, for the 2009 season. Really helped them when Jamie Moyer started to struggle down the stretch. But Pedro Martinez is today's Phillies Memory Lane spotlight. Pitcher who was signed late in the season. I guess it was more midway through the season in 2009. Made his debut in August and really helped them down the stretch to clinch the division. And then pitched well in the playoffs, but didn't get any victories or anything to show for it, due to the offense kind of going to sleep on them. But good addition. Another one of those guys who was the right guy just at the wrong time for the Phillies. And it's hard to say that only because he did help them, but it would have been nice if they had him a few years earlier. But that leads to today's question of the day. Phillies seem to always get, we've talked a lot about it so far this month with our Phillies Memory Lane trips, they seem to get the right guy at the wrong time. And just off the top of my head, I came up with 4. So I'm going to ask you to choose between those 4. But if there's somebody else that you think is more deserving to be on the list, please let me know that as well. But which guy did the Phillies sign who was the right guy just at the wrong time in their career? Is it Pedro Martinez, Andrew McCutchen, Joe Morgan, Dale Murphy? I'm sure we can all compile a list, but let me know your thoughts. 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Which guy did the Phillies sign who was the right guy at the wrong time in their career? Was it Pedro, Andrew McCutchen, Joe Morgan, or Dale Murphy? Or is it somebody else I'm missing? Let me know. Hit me up on my social media or the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off your chest. I'm looking forward to it. And be sure to check out the Ultimate Nickname Tournament Selection Show, now available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. Be sure to check out my boys on the Clashing Conferences. I'm sure Matt's going to have a field day because Boston won, but they're doing a good job over there anywhere you get your podcast as well as on YouTube. But Pedro Martinez was our Phillies Memory Lane spotlight. Right guy, wrong time. But is he the most right guy, wrong time in Phillies history? We have Pedro, McCutchen, Joe Morgan, or Dale Murphy. Let me know what you're thinking. I'll have that as well as the answer from Thursday. I got to, excuse me. I had to think about that because it is Thursday for me. But I'll have Thursday and Friday's results of the question of the day for you on Saturday, if you're keeping score at home. On this day in 1964, Jim Bunning pitched a perfect game on Father's Day at the Shea Stadium against the Mets. Phillies won that game 6-0 and then won the second game of the doubleheader 8-2. Johnny Callison with a homer in both games. But Jim Bunning, the first ever perfect game in Phillies history, came against the hated Mets on Father's Day in Shea Stadium. Excuse me. We'll have more on the Sixers and Flyers offseason rumors tomorrow. Hopefully we are celebrating a Phillies win over the D-backs, and I guarantee you they're going to do a good job with the Cole Hamels retirement ceremony, because it's one thing the Phillies do right, even if Juan Samuel is in the Hall or the Wall of Fame. Excuse me, I apologize for that. This heat is killing me. But be sure to vote for the question of the day. Check out the selection show. Tournament kicks off on June 24th. Super excited about it. So let's get this thing going. Tell your friends, spread the word. Get ready to vote for your favorite Phillies nickname. June 24th, everything kicks off with 2 matchups that are still yet to be determined. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for June 21st, 2024. I'm Jim Montgomery. Hopefully I hit them straight today. Go have yourselves a Friday. And it is a feel-good Friday. I missed that because I'm not feeling good because I'm technically not recording this on Friday. But it is a feel-good Friday, so go have fun. Be safe out there. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.